You're listening to Inclusive AF with Jackye Clayton and Katee Van Horn.
Hi, Jackye.
Hi, Kathleen.
Oh, are we going Jacqueline today? Is that what you're
Yes,
telling
I'm
me?
feeling very Jacqueline-y. If you can see me, you can see the hair is looking Jacqueline-y, I
The
guess.
hair is getting long.
I know. And I'm changing. Who knows? Who knows?
Are you going to stick with blonde?
I don't know. I feel like maybe for the next year or so, maybe. And
Okay.
then I don't know. I'm feeling
Okay.
it.
I won't go with like blonde is better because I've been a brunette
Right, right.
my whole life, really. I mean, I was like blonde when I was a baby, but and there was a small time in high school where I thought I should be blonde. It was a bad idea.
Listen, it was the Sun-In generation when everybody,
Yes.
all you had to do was spray it in and go
Yeah.
way
And my
out.
hair was a nice shiny yellow at all times
Guess
and
what?
ready to fall out at any minute.
They
Uh,
didn't say that it was literally made in Malibu for Malibuians in California. It was a very small percentage that had sun-in success. They were already genetically advantaged
Oh
people.
my God. Yeah.
It
I
was in small print, which, speaking of which, brings us to today.
so welcome to the Inclusive AF podcast, folks, where we
I'm
discuss
Dr.
things like sun in the 90s, using sun in the 90s, and what we're going to do with our hair next, and other very important HR
and
topics.
major legal implications of discrimination against today's worker.
It's a balance. We like to strike between really stressful stuff and, not so stressful stuff. So it works out really well.
That's right.
So Jackye, what are we talking about today? You want to talk about kind of an important deal, I think, for
Yeah.
most folks in HR.
Looking at it for a long time. It is the landmark AI bias lawsuit against Workday. It's known as, I think it's Mobley versus Workday. It was
Yep.
actually brought forth by job seekers who are saying that Workday's AI algorithms that is used, I think it says used by many employers to filter candidates and had a disparate impact on protected groups, namely older, Black, and disabled. Now, the reason that we need to start,
I'm going to give you some numbers. Are you ready?
yeah, because it was just a
Okay.
few, I'm sure.
Approximately 1,400 companies use Workday Recruiting. Over 300 organizations have selected it with more than 95 actively live. And of the Fortune 500, approximately 37 to 38% of companies rely on Workday. So roughly 185 of the 492 Fortune 500 firms that use an ATS use Workday recruiting. So that's kind of a big deal.
Why I keep freaking out about it, because it keeps saying things like a few people think that a few people, y'all, we're literally talking about approximately 1.1 billion applicants were,
Impacted.
yeah.
Or so I won't even say impacted. Impacted is the wrong word, but could have been impacted.
Now, I'm glad, and actually, I love that we're talking about blonde hair because it does actually, it does actually work. I will add this in the show notes, and Katee probably knows where I'm going because I talk about it all the time. One of the things that's always funny is that I have blonde hair. I know the algorithm says I'm not Black because I have blonde hair.
Mhm.
Reason being is that I'll say, here's a picture of me and I don't have blonde hair. And it'll come up with a relatively, they only know 5 Black people in the algorithm: Felicia Rashad, Simone Biles, one of the tennis, Venus or Serena. And
Yep.
I say that because every picture of me has, it either looks like me or one of those, or Oprah, or Gail.
Yeah. We
And
should include like one of the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
that's right, right, right. So it does that, or it just totally makes me white in AI. And it doesn't matter if it's Adobe, Canva, the Google Gemini Flow, and it's been funny. It also like will make my husband Black automatically, even though he was white. It will automatically, or just erase him entirely in pictures. And it's the funniest thing, like we know it's the algorithm because it
Right.
comes up like every I think we made a mistake. And even though we have a picture, must be the way it is. So there's things that are behind the algorithm that we don't talk about that's already built in that I cannot undo. I did have
Right.
the vice president of Adobe reach out to me and ask me what I prompted to see if it could fix it. And I said, how about you just give me a prompt that would guarantee that I can find a person that looks like me, even if it's
Right.
just 80% of the time. Still waiting for them to give me that prompt, right? But we know that it happens.
Right.
So it's our job to look and find out where that is. Oh, wait, we don't have any DEIB people or anymore to look at what's
No.
really important that's going on. So whose responsibility is it to find the bias in tech products and AI? And what are we going to find out?
So here's a couple things that I'm going to throw out to you on why this worries me.
Okay.
So we know that there are going to be more lawsuits that are going to come down regarding AI tools in hiring and what are the tools actually doing and how are they doing, because we want to vet that they are being fair or unbiased. And I'm
Right.
using air quotes when I say that because I think that's even a term right now that's a subjective term. And so it's also like we're yet again, the HR people are going to have to step in and go, how do I actually review this? How do I audit to make sure it's not doing these things and not creating bias somewhere? But anytime you have people in the mix, bias is always an issue. And it's the whole concept of bad data in, bad data out. But I don't know how, like, as a user, how do you put that in the RFP process to say, hey, I need to make sure that your ATS isn't going to be biased against my candidates?
I, the thing, yes,
Like, how do you do that?
I don't know. And let's just pretend out of the 1.1 billion applications
Right.
processed, that it affects 500,000. Like, I'm kidding, it's affected millions, but let's just pretend it's 500,000.
Yeah.
How do you compensate the job potential, the future for somebody's whole world of work can be changed in one job, like the absolute trajectory, the
Right.
technology moving forward, like innovation moving forward.
Hi, I'm Stephen Rothberg,
And I'm Jeanette Leeds.
and together we're the co-hosts of the High Volume Hiring Podcast.
Are you involved in hiring dozens or even hundreds of employees a year? If so, you know that the typical sourcing tools, tactics, and strategies, they just don't scale.
Yeah, our bi-weekly podcast features news, tips, case studies, and interviews with the world's leading experts about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to high volume hiring.
Make sure to subscribe today.
How do you what and people are not talking about this. I'm not panicked. I just think it is so important at the same time that you want to pull back from organizations when you see people like we're going to take money back from Harvard unless they get rid of their DEIB practices at the same
Right.
time that almost, when 40% of people are using a software that knows that people are claiming have discrimination, algorithmic discrimination, who are not speaking to this at the same time. I don't see how you can have both.
Well, I guess this is the whole thing is that, and you have talked about this, I think, a gazillion times, and I know you've talked about it on stage many times about like looking at your hiring funnel data
Right,
and seeing where people drop off by demographics.
right.
And I think that is one of the biggest pieces that folks can do so like for those of you who are actually using Workday ATS, please make sure you are doing some sort of reporting and monitoring to say, and audits to say, when are people falling out? Are they not even getting past the resume screen? Are they not even getting past that whatever stage to say when are they dropping off and when are they being passed through all of that?
Because it's not going to be Workday's fault. By
No.
the way,
Yeah.
sorry, I know you hear the ding. The only person who gets through, can you hear it? Oh, Never mind. I know you don't hear the ding as you were.
Okay. Please do continue.
Yes.
But like, I think that's the part is that, for so many ATSs, I don't think people even know what reporting they should be looking at. So I think like, okay, yes, this is happening. Yes, this is impacting a huge workforce. But for me, it's so what do I do about it? Like as an HR practitioner, as a recruiter, as a whatever, what the heck can I do to make sure this isn't happening in my company and with my tools? So Jackye, recruiter extraordinaire, tell me, what can I do?
Listen, the first thing is go back and look at your numbers of what you've been hiring in the last year if you've been using Workday. The very first.
No, I'm sorry, no caveat. It's not if you're using Workday. I think
No,
regardless
yeah,
of your
yeah,
tool.
you're right. But first, wait, let's start from the very beginning. Audit the processes that you have in the house and the tools that are part of those processes. Like,
Right.
you have a structured interviewing process. How are you coaching your interviewers? How are your recruiters selecting candidates? Are you auditing the decisions that are being made? Are you looking internally to see who you're adding to the organization? I think, you know, the like I believe in software and systems together can help us solve some of these things that are going on. Make sure
Right.
that you have the systems in place that are gonna give you fair results as close as you can, right?
Right.
There's not going to be anything that's going to be a perfect system, but know that you can go back to your people and saying that we are auditing these processes and we are going to take responsibility for any adverse effects and make sure that we fix those things and we're not going to let this stand. Like, start with that, right? Call your organizations that you're using the software and ask them, how are they taking care and mitigating any risk that could potentially happen? And where are they getting the information that is in their data set? How are they getting it? Where is it coming from?
So yes, and what I would add to that is at the end of the day, whatever they're doing, you obviously, yes, you want to know what's happening, but at the end of the day, the liable party, I guarantee, will be you.
It
It will
is
not be
you.
that platform. It will not be that tool. You're the one that's going to get the discrimination claims, the ADA claims, whatever other claims you might get. So like that's the part that is like, this isn't just a cute, maybe this is going to be an issue. This is real life, could be impacting you right now today, and you could have a similar situation that Workday is now up against. And what I know is going to happen here is, regardless of what happens with this Workday lawsuit, there's going to be a trickle down of some sort with either you all have to look at your contracts better and make sure that, your legal team is looking at it from a liability exposure. Because if it is built wrong, or if there is bias built in, which is probably guaranteed that it is,
Sure.
just because again, people built it, then you need to know what that liability is for you and your company as the HR recruiter person.
And here's the irony. In order to do this, you're going to have to use AI and build an algorithm
Yep.
to look at every single candidate that was rejected,
Mm-hmm.
why they were rejected, what was the reason. You better hope to God that you're using a system that forces you to give a reason for rejecting candidates, even though you've gotten 3,000 because they are using AI to apply for these jobs. It's going to I feel like we were just talking about the great dumbing down of America, where you have people are taking for granted like something that happens with like Sarbanes-Oxley, right? Or
Yep.
if you're not familiar with Sarbanes-Oxley, it goes back to the day when it was like,
Yep.
oh,
Right.
we don't know what happened. It was our CEO that did it, or our CFO that did it. It was our head of accounting that did it. So we're not responsible for any of the financial issues for the organization. We can't be held liable. And they were like, nope, that's not true anymore. People have not been paying attention to the impact on that has on work, what HIPAA has had on work, what the financial crisis of 2008. And if you haven't been paying attention, I'll put it this way. It's your freaking fault because they're not going to do another bailout. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. And they're like, you're going to take responsibility for the work that you have. And under this administration, if you decided to pull all of your practices,
Uh-huh.
no one's coming to save you.
No. No. And and I think that's the part that, like, I've done this and I know you've done it as well for probably the past 3 years at HR Tech. I will ask the question of anyone building a tool, what are you doing around bias, around DEI, whatever? And 90% of the people, I get a blank stare.
Fully.
And
And we're not asking them, what are you doing for the potential discrimination of your head? Like, we're not talking about old school bias.
no.
We're talking about systems and processes in place to ensure, like I always say, where you're saving people from themselves, or
Yep.
when they go in and have a bad day, that nobody's kicking the dog. I'm not talking about like someone purposely going in and doing something bad. We're asking, what are you doing to make sure that as it stands, somebody is going to have to do this on purpose with malicious intent?
Yeah, but
Your system should be set up in a way. And if your answer is we don't know, your gut, this is going to be, listen, this is about to get, people are watching. And the fact that a judge is allowing this to go through, it doesn't matter what's going to happen moving forward, because the people that are responsible from a judicial standpoint, from a litigation standpoint, will know that there is money here and they are just looking for this to be a problem. And they're looking at people being irresponsible for doing this.
understandable.
And
And
it's,
and quite honestly, they should be. They should be looking for those
they
issues
should have.
because we should not have them. But I asked our friend ChatGPT.
Oh, I love ChatGPT.
So I just asked them who's using, like, what platforms have like real-time bias detection or analytics that flag anomalies. iCIMS, they're utilizing AI and advanced analytics to highlight disparities in applicant pools and promote diverse hiring practices. So go iCIMS. And to be clear, these are not any type of endorsement of any of these tools. This is merely us, again, using our friend ChatGPT.
Right.
Entelo is also doing something with diversity modules that analyze candidate demographics. JobVite is using tracking features to surface demographic gaps, which I kind of like that concept too, is like who isn't applying. And I think that's where JobVite is going with it, is more who's applying and who's not. So like, are you sourcing from the right places to get a diverse pool of candidates? But like there's a bunch of them, like if you look, there are a bunch of them that are doing some good stuff. It looks like, iCIMS is doing a lot, which is good. And looking at the funnels, which is exactly what we need them to be doing, just to help us with all these pieces. Here's the issue. I feel like this goes back to what is the role of HR and the fact that we have to be legal, we have to be technical, we have to be AI, we have to know all the things.
We have to go in, or are you waiting for someone else to do it behind your back and bring it to your attention?
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, if you're responsible for the humans, when they go in to find out whose problem this is, and I say, oh, it's your organization's problem. No, it's you, HR, it's the responsibility of you to make sure that you have a fair, equitable job place. Like
Okay.
it's like I would hope, and we'll see. Back when it was Sarbanes-Oxley, we already knew if something happened and there was something, I remember back in the day, it was like automatic. You were going to get fired. Your boss was going to get fired. The CEO was going to get fired. Everybody that was in the chain was going to get fired. And this was back when I was at like Robert Half days. So this is 2000. you know, the early 2000s, when it was just known, like, no, it's everyone who touched this. So I don't see how it's not going to be everybody who touched this job rec outside of like the coordinator. I don't see how.
Well, and I think that's the thing. It's like it's one of those things that like with SOX, with Sarbanes-Oxley, like it was obviously it was really around financial controls and like reporting and all that stuff. You know, I think most folks who have been around know that, but if you were not around at the time, this was, you know, it became a major issue and there were a lot of financial penalties that came up because of it. And I mean, even I think a few people got jail time because of it. So like, it's not to be messed with. And I agree. I think this is going to be a similar situation where maybe not under this administration, but there is going to be some real life consequences for stuff like this popping up that isn't being regulated, that needs to be regulated, that we just need to focus on. So yeah,
Yes.
I don't know.
Forced accountability. Like
Yeah.
it reshaped compliance forever. If you're not familiar, like the best way of describing SOX is forced accountability.
Yeah.
And it started with Enron, right?
Yep.
And what I'm saying is like this lawsuit isn't just about Workday. It's a wake-up call about the systemic risks of algorithmic bias. And so if you're looking at it, this is going to it's already set a legal precedent.
Right. Right.
Like
I think we're talking about this in very like high level terms, but
yeah.
you said something earlier that I think is really critical to consider for all of us to consider. It's really about the fact that who are you not hiring or who are you missing out on, and how are you not building out a team that actually has, excuse me, diversity in it, because they're just getting dumped out in the application stage and you're never going to see them and you're never going to know that they applied.
And
And
there's going to be a class action.
yeah,
I guarantee. I mean, and how are you going to, what are you going to say? If you're old and black and disabled and applied to a company that you used, then you might get a lawsuit. It's going to be like freaking baby powder. Like it'll be, we already know we're talking about 1.1 billion applicants.
right.
So like I said, let's just pretend it's 3 million. That's a lot of people. And if you're still using it, what are you doing today? Okay, so we know that this lawsuit, this is what people are claiming. They still haven't said that's absolutely not true because we have this, or this, or implied anything or pointed to anything. They just have been doing deny. And I know I mean, I don't want to talk to them. I'm not a lawyer and I don't know what their legal strategy should be. But I'm just saying, it doesn't look very good, Katie.
No, no, it doesn't.
Not a
And
good look.
so if you are evaluating an ATS, or if you are trying to figure out right now, is your ATS biased? Well, if you're trying to figure out right now if your ATS is biased, the answer is probably yeah. And I mean, and I, you know, just named a few vendors that are working on this, but I think this is where the human piece comes into play, that, you know, people say, oh, we're going to get AI and then we're going to get rid of all the people. No, this is where you have to be smarter
You
and
have to be smarter.
act at a higher level than just I push the button to push the candidates through the funnel. And so like there are some questions that you can ask vendors, and we can include these in the show notes, but you know, asking them, how does your system flag bias? How do they flag, you know, issues with candidate screening when they're doing an AI? Because, you know, a lot of them will do screenings of the CV or of their profile or whatever it might be. So what are they doing to mitigate bias there, or to flag if there is bias that's happening? That is a great question to ask a vendor.
And also, who do they have any rules that will prevent people from applying, like cause additional friction in the hiring process? Because again, right now the challenge is recruiters are getting inundated by applicants, by the number of people, the pure number of people that are applying. We are not, and it's something that we'll need to talk about very soon. I was saying this as someone who is like I don't work for an organization. I'm independent. If I'm looking at other people in it and we're saying they're getting like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 per job. If people are applying, Jeremy Roberts just said, I applied for 96 jobs and I haven't heard back from any of them. But so we've taught candidates how to apply for 100 jobs, no problem, but haven't talked about the ramification on the mental impact of getting rejected from those 100 jobs.
100%.
As we're doing that with no understanding and with aren't doing a good, don't have the process involved that you're giving people a fair analysis. Like, how do we know that they can't come back and say it's because I'm old or I'm disabled or I'm Black or I'm this or I'm whatever it is?
100%. Yeah.
Like, you make sure that at the very least you have a system in place. If you can't control the software, you can control the processes within your organization of making sure. There was something now that they're saying, oh, well, we're going to stop accepting applicants past 500.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Does that have any like disparate consequences against people? Because who gets to the job first? We don't, if we haven't done the data and haven't done the math on it, you
Right.
can be discriminating against a whole bunch of people. Because if you're only doing the first 500, then what does that mean? You're discriminating against what? People who work, people who don't
Yeah.
work, people who live in New York, people who live in California. I mean, I'm not kidding.
Right.
You can't just, it's not as easy right now because there's just too many ways of going, and we're using outdated systems with new technology does not work.
Right.
What are we going to do, Katie? Why aren't people listening? Listen, get the people.
Get the
Y'all
people.
got to do something.
Well, I think it's also like all I'm thinking is also the role of the recruiter, where I'm sure we just scared a bunch of them. Wasn't our intention, to be clear. We're not trying to scare anyone, but it's also you're talking about someone applying for 100+ jobs. That then translates to how many people are applying for every job you have. I mean, we know this. We know 300-400 people are applying for different jobs. And for the recruiter, it is like, how do I sort through all of these applicants? How do I sort through all of these folks to say, okay, or something, is it like, oh, I'm a bus driver and I'm applying for a job as a software development engineer? Okay. Or is it hey, I'm a software development engineer and I'm applying to be a HR person because we haven't scared them enough to let software development engineers know they don't really want to be in HR. It's not as glamorous as
At all.
they might think, because it is a very glamorous job, but so we're clear. I
Oh,
think that's the thing, is it is like how do we do this? How do we do this right? Um, and
uh-oh. See what HR will do to you?
see what it just makes you tired constantly. I'm constantly tired. Okay.
But I
So
think that people need to let's talk about it. Let's pretend it was Sarbanes, like there was with Sarbanes-Oxley. The first thing that you had to do was have an audit internally and proactively audit all of your AI recruitment tools for fairness, bias, and adverse impact. And it's going to be funny because guess what they're going to need? DEI people that they just laid off.
yeah.
This just I just can't with people.
Well, but again, this is part of what I'm using the very general they are trying to do. They don't want those audits. They don't want to know that there's bias. They don't want to have us looking at this data and going, this isn't right, because the whole concept is there is no issue.
Then we'll see you in court.
Then we'll see you in court is what's going to happen. I 100% agree.
I'm not trying to scare the people, and I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. It's still very possible that a judge says, no, we're not going to see it. We're not going to listen to it. But it's just not, it does not matter. It is not going to be pretty, and nobody's going to let this. I don't think it's going to die down. I don't
No.
think it's going to die. I think somebody's looking at this, especially as trying to set the precedent so that we can get this going. There's too many tools out there that come out every day.
And I think it goes back to money.
Yes.
If they can figure out a way to get money from this, I mean, it is Workday is not a small company financially. And, they are, well, right now they're being publicly traded right now at $239.
Shut
So,
up. Not really shut up, Katie.
no, I know, but like they're worth, it looks like about $59 billion.
Listen, and the other part is this will fall back. It will fall back to HR.
Yeah.
Like even if your company says we're not concerned, we don't think, it will fall back on you because you're going to be the ones they turn to say, is this going to be a
Well,
problem?
that's my point is that, yeah, Workday can hire a gazillion lawyers to fight this. You know who the next person is they're going to go after is the company that didn't hire them. And so Workday is
Yeah.
probably going to figure out a way to get around this and go,
1,400 of them.
yeah, it wasn't us.
That's right. All
Um,
1,400 of them
yeah,
saying, I didn't tell you who to hire.
right.
Right.
You put the data in incorrectly, or you set it up incorrectly, and that's why there's bias in it.
And
So
again, we're not lawyers, but we've watched enough Dateline.
I've watched it. Well, Dayline is most
and
scary. I would say Law and Order or LA Law. Remember LA Law?
I
We watched that.
remember LA Law. That
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
great show.
Yeah, that was a good
Showing
one.
our age now.
And it was totally accurate. Like all of these shows that we're
Oh.
quoting are totally accurate. No, Dateline's always about like the murdering the woman that lives alone. That's why we don't watch Dateline at my house. Yeah, we don't watch
Right.
it. It's not
I
good.
meant Nightline. It's more Nightline.
Nightline. Yes, Nightline works. Yes, Nightline
Yes.
works. Absolutely. Oh my word. Okay. So, Jackye,
Yes.
what is the bottom line for you? What's the one thing you want to make sure people heard?
I want people to go back and listen to every single episode, all like 3 million inclusive AF episodes, because you're going to be held accountable and start doing this stuff.
Start doing the stuff we've told you to do for all
Yes.
900 episodes.
For all 900 episodes, because this is going to swing back. It is, because of the way that things have been going lately. And you were able to get more money because you don't have DEIB anymore and they're doing all these things, and you thought there was going to be less work. Enjoy yourself today, because I am telling you, this
Yeah.
is going to swing back so hard. I would start preparing myself just a little by little, start getting ready to answer for this question. What are you doing to make sure that you have a fair, equitable hiring process that is fair to all applicants and nobody is getting rejected before you get a chance to evaluate? Just start baby steps. Start thinking and keeping it, because at some point you're going to be asked the question.
Right. 154 episodes, Jackye, to be clear, 154.
A million. It feels like a million. You know how many that is? That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So for all of you that you have listened through this whole time, we appreciate you. By the way, folks, we do have a store coming soon where you can get some cool swag. And so we'll be broadcasting that on the episodes and on the show notes and all that stuff once we get everything set up. Because, one day we're going to get our act together over here, Jackye, one day.
Yeah, it's going to come soon.
Any minute now. We'll keep you all posted. We'll keep you all posted on when that will be.
That's right.
All right, Jackye.
Yes.
Go
I
do
did
it.
my one thing. What's your one thing?
Oh, sorry. My one thing is do an audit. Get your business together.
Get your business together.
Check your shit.
Check your shit. Do it. Now.
All right.
All right, friends.
That's all I got for you.
Is there anything else? Not today.
Not today.
But
I think that was enough, because here's the thing. If they just do that one thing, that's going to take a minute.
Yeah, that's going to take a full 60 seconds.
Right. At least.
At a minimum.
Yeah. At least until next week when we post the next podcast, where we'll tell you some other things to do.
But thank you all for joining us on the Inclusive AF podcast. My name is Jackye Clayton.
And this is Katie Van Horn.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.